when you say to people, I want to know about your system requirements, that's what you're going to go into things now, right? When somebody tells you, I want to do a project, I want you to do a project, and here it is, go do this project. The first question that you're going to ask them is what? What are your requirements? And what are you doing at that moment? You're creating enemies. You are. Because you're putting somebody, what? On the spot. But you're trying to get a definition, and they're going to say, well, I don't know, go figure it out. Is that not pretty much it? And then what slide are you going to put up? What slide are you going to put up? Whatever you just drew. Now, explain to me how you did this. How did everybody try to combine these two together?
Yes.
Because, to be honest, I know you're biased to whatever you develop. I like this a lot better than this. Now that has a tremendous amount of bias to it. But I do not like this because it does not speak the same language or the words as what people are. For example, Mark was telling me that we have people from Lockheed that are doing systems at Y12.
The Bobs.
The Bobs.
The Bobs.
The Bobs.
Okay. Then we have people from DOE that are now going to be doing systems at Y12. Then there are, Mark and I are working on something based on this for Y12. And then there's one more group, I don't know which group. You, if you follow our path, are not going to be able to talk to the other three groups. Because what language do you think they're speaking? What language are you speaking?
Well, but doesn't this just feed into that? I mean, it's not
That's
saying
correct.
that you have to have one or the other.
No.
I think that this is a tool to achieve that.
This, I think, is the overall umbrella.
Right.
This is the technical content that fits into some of this stuff. So the question is, how, if that's what your approach was, it doesn't have to be. Because you can say adopt this or adopt this, but if you're trying to integrate this, how did you incorporate this into here?
What, I mean, I treated it like your slides from the reliability or the AHP stuff, like business requirement goes to your process, business requirement goes to your support, business goes to your upper level.
I just want Rocky to let you know how important you are.
Okay.
I'm not answering her phone call.
Just don't tell her it's because of me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, user requirement goes to each one because everyone in the everybody in the model is a user. Everybody is, if they're at work, is serving a business function. It's whether their KPIs or their stocks align with those above them, beside them, or whatever, and understanding that using your other models. So I begin with the bottleneck and define business user system, and then go to the impact business user system, and then back to the bottleneck. How do those two feedback loops work together? Then go to C, the pre-bottleneck, and go backwards to the process again, time and time again, until you have
Fair enough.
feedback loops.
Fair enough. Anybody else before I tell you? Let me go here and then I'll go there. Is that okay? Okay.
So, I know a couple of us in the class have gotten to work with the Bobs, the guys from Lockheed Martin. And can I just show you how they've done this with me?
Yes.
This exercise? So what we did was, the first thing they did was ask me to create an interface and interface and boundary picture. They didn't understand my system, so I've got my system, and inside of it we wrote out all the functional requirements of what it needs to do. So inside were the functional requirements. then we defined the boundary of the system, and on the outside, we defined all the interfaces that that system has, like power and any other systems that it interacts with. So, in my mind, the business requirements are created by project documents, like the project execution plan or systems engineering management plan. But the user requirements were these interactions or these interfaces. So they became everyone who's got to touch it: the people, the power, other systems. These are my user requirements, and then these inside my box are the
Functional requirements.
the functional system requirements.
Okay. So, no, leave it up there for
I'm
me.
sorry.
That's all right, you're off. So, what are the business requirements? I mean, I'm sorry, I was supposed to come back to, I was right.
Oh, that's fine. I was gonna say, well, from my perspective, your model on the left, only thing that I changed is your system is almost a horizontal line across the bottom, because everything within that is gonna have your system impact. So I kinda did a whole nother section where, like, for us, our bottlenecks aren't so far separated to where if I fix a bottleneck, sometimes I cause another problem post. And so for us, I think when you say just system requirements, those can fluctuate and change based on where you are in the process. So it kind of encompasses the whole model. So I put system requirements as more of a horizontal line across the whole thing. And then the business is really gonna be more along the lines of your political, your impact, but the business also can filter down to your bottleneck, because if you fix your bottleneck, obviously you're gonna impact your business requirements and how you're able to meet those. So it's almost like on the right-hand side, like your top half of that would be your business, your bottom half would almost be your users, and then your systems would be going horizontally across it to kind of encompass all of it.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Based on what he just said, at first I thought the user requirement was just the customer, but it sounds like it might be the supporting people.
User is who? Anybody that is connected to that system.
Right?
Okay. So how should we do it then? Okay. If I was to take your ideas, the 3 or 4 of you that shared it, and I still like this, okay, and try to integrate this into this, how would I do it? So I have business requirements, is that not right? What are business requirements? It's not only the goal. How many of your projects that you took to redesign systems had a budget to it? How many of it had timelines to it? How many of them had, I don't know, what are the other constraints? Time, budget, whatever it is that you need to do, would those not be your business requirements? Where would they come from, please? Could you tell me? If I want to know what the sponsor wants, or in terms of cost and goals and budget and timelines and all that, where does that come from? Here. So if I could take some of this right here, would this not become business requirements, or the input into your business requirements? So those definitions that I showed you, to me, as I was presenting those business and user and systems requirements, were very confusing. I don't know what that meant from slide to slide. But if I could connect this to this, I would say that majority of what I need to put into my business comes from here. And it is both technical, political, and organizational. And I would even put underneath, if I was doing it, under my business, I wouldn't call it political. I mean, give it a different name, right? I would call it technical, organizational, and I don't know, political, but you change those. That's what I would do. Now, the second part comes into the user requirements. Who are the users?
People in the process. I don't want anything.
Everybody who's impacted by the process.
There's two components to it. One, that we did not have here, but we implied that we have here. Right? So, does my user requirement, this is the key thing that you have to make a definition of your sponsor or your customer, is it already included in here? If it is included, and that's what you do, then these users become what? Not external users, but internal to the system. Is it kind of clear? So this could be external and your management's getting together and say, this is what you need to do. If my customer is already included in this user becomes what? Internal users. And I'm going to use Bobby's here, and I'm going to go here. I think he did a very good job in terms of, what are these? Where are our connections, please? Could you tell me where our connections are? 1, 2. It could be 3, 4, 5 here, 6, 7 here. So I have connections here, connections here, connections here, and connections here. You see that? If those are my connections, who are my people that I'm looking at? I'm looking at impact. I'm looking at pre-bottleneck. I'm looking at post-bottleneck. And under support, I can break it down into different types of supports. Remember? Different types of support. Supports from material procurement, support from equipment availability, support from people and resources. So I have all of those things. Do you see how that fits? Now, the question then becomes, is then, what is the system requirement? Correct, but let's define it. So I have two different kinds, right? Functional and non-functional. What is functional? The crux of the problem, because you don't need to do this. You already have included all of your support, post, pre, impact, where? In your users. So if I'm looking at my system requirement, the crux of the problem, where is the crux of the problem? At the bottleneck. And in essence, isn't that the scope of your project? Isn't that the scope? Hey, I'm going to go fix that machine. I'm going to fix that computer. I'm going to fix the chiller. I'm going to fix something. And if I fix that thing, isn't that your system that you're trying to fix? But I have all my connections of my system to where? Through my users. Now let's talk about systems, this system. So we're talking about fixing this and its requirement. What are functional? What does functional mean? Here's to me what functional means. Performance, operations, logistics. What are those things that I need to be able to design my system? What does non-functional mean in that term? Organization and political. That's my definition of it. So when I look at the functional, I put technical underneath, and technical includes not just, hey, I need a piece of equipment here, I need to be able to meet that requirement, these are the technical requirements for me to be able to get that job done. Non-functional, I can't do this until I pay a bribe. That's wrong. Not true, not true. Okay?
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, okay? Would that not, I mean, in some countries that I know, okay, you can't get anything done unless you do that. That's not a technical requirement, is it? What kind of requirement is that?
Socioeconomic.
Political, socioeconomic. So is that okay? Can we review this one more time so you put it on your sheet? Okay. What is the top? Business. Business comes from where? The technical, the organization, and the political of your impacts. Are we okay? Users comes from where?
Internal entities.
Internal, these are these four. These four. System would be what, please? This. And we break it into functional. Functional is all the technical requirements. And non-functional would be all the other things that you have to do to make sure that this process is successful. Would that fit together for you? Does that fit in your thing? So can I give you just 5 minutes? I would like you to write that on your piece of paper, so you have that model. That's all you need to do. Because here, can I tell you, if I was to rank my handwriting, it is probably not even 1. I think it's like 0.06 out of 10.
You are a doctor now.
What does that mean? That is no excuse. Here, and I notice what I do is I start well. By the time I come to the end of the word, it becomes like this.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that they say for extremely intelligent people that have bad handwriting, it's because their brain is thinking faster than their hand.
Can I tell you that that is not absolutely not true here? This is not
I was
definitely the
trying to
case
give you
here.
some props.
Well, thank you. Thank you for trying to do that, but that was not the case. Are we okay? Because if you could do this, it serves 2 purposes for you. I'm trying to spend this time with you. It serves 2 purposes. 1, long-term purpose, because now that piece of paper that you're putting together is the way you articulate. 2, short-term, it's going to help you. And I can't tell you how, but short-term, over the next week, it's going to help you.
This can be expanded by as soon as you define those requirements, those stakeholders. Once you get to the bottleneck, then you start breaking it down by your reliability,
That is correct.
new requirements, with your leverage points, and then you optimize and try to make it sustainable.
That's correct. Because see, here's the key. Remember, one of the assumptions from a technical perspective that we have is we cannot fix a system until we know what the bottleneck or the constraint in the system is. Only then will the system performance become better. That's why we have such a great emphasis on the constraint or the bottleneck in the system. Everybody have something on a piece of paper that says, and I wanted to name it after yourself. Name it after Paul. Write it down. Paul's model. Yeah, I mean, take it home and say, hey guys, notice what I've done. I've created a new model and it's named after myself. Now, can I tell you something really funny? I got an award, okay? And no. The real awards, I'm not going to tell you. This is an award that a graduate student gave me. It is the Rupi Sani Award to Rupi Sani for living in the ghost and the shadow of Rupi Sani. And it's probably the best thing I've ever had. It makes no sense, but it's the thing that I display now. But I want you to have this model so that you can be explicit in the way you articulate. Are we okay? All right. As soon as you're done, let me give you your assignment. Not the assignment back home assignment. Don't do that. Everybody had the ability to understand and write it? Everybody has now? their state, their requirements model. I have a system. It's called MRP. Who knows what an MRP system is? If you remember, and I'm going to carry you through this, and I want you to practice your model, and it makes no difference if you get it right or wrong, I want you to practice it. But I want to explain this model. An MRP system has 3 different levels. What happened to all the markers that we had?
Yeah, real.
Oh, let me kind of explain this to you, okay? This model. Let me explain this to you. And I want you, complicated, this is not grocery shopping, this is complicated. And I want you to put your requirements planning of this model into your model. In an MRP system, oh, thank you. I have the front end. I have the engine. And I have the back end. The purpose of an MRP system, and all of you in all of your organizations have it. It's part of, if you have SAP, it's part of SAP. It's part of the enterprise requirement planning. It's a component of the enterprise requirement planning. And what it does is it has multiple objectives. The objective on the front end is to develop something called a master production schedule. Okay? I'm going to make an assumption that Rubbermaid just makes one product. Y12 only makes one product, and ORNL does only one research. So we're going to simplify it. So what is a master production schedule? It is based on time, and time could be a shift, a day, a week, a month. All right, and this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. What is a master production schedule? What are the numbers that I have to put in here? My demand, what am I producing? I'm producing what? Product A. What do I have to put here? 3, 5, 12, 6, 8, 2. What is that? What is that? It is what you think that you need to do what? Is the demand for your product A. You see, it's product A. They want to have 3 of these, 5 of these, 12 of these, 6 of these, 8 of these, and 2 of these. In order to get this information, we got that, fair enough. What are the 3 things that must happen for you to be able to create this master production schedule?
You gotta see what orders you're receiving.
Okay, so I have to do what? First of all, don't I need to forecast? I need to forecast what my products are going to be. Don't I need to look at my capacity of what I need to produce? capacity. Oh my God, I can only produce X amount over that period of time. And then there's something, and I'm changing the words, strategy. And remember we talked about there are certain products that you try to create a shortage in. And if you create a shortage, the value of the property goes up. The only thing I can remember, because I did it, remember I told you about Beanie Babies or something like that? Stuffed toys that cost no more than $1, people were paying $50 and $100 for. Why? Because, oh, I can't find a bear. Well, don't find a bear, go find something else. No, I need that. Who does forecasting? Who develops the strategy? Who determines the capacity? And between all of these things, once I know I need to produce this, I got this capacity, this is my strategy, I come back here and I put together my master production schedule. You see that? The engine does what? What does the engine do? The engine says that A, when I look at the bill of materials, I decompose it, and for A, I need a B and two C's. I need two C's and a B, and and this is purchased, and this is made. I'm going to make B's, so I'm going to assume all of these B's, and then I'm going to purchase these two C's, and I take two of these C's and B, and I assemble them together to make an A. That's the bill of material. Here, I take this master production schedule and I decompose it into the amount of B that I need to purchase. And notice, it's not going to be the same numbers. And this is C. This is what I need to purchase. C. So I'm going to have 6, 10, 30, 12, 0. Notice these numbers are not the same. So what is my objective here? Is to develop something that indicates to me for my production. Hey, production, this is my thing. I went through this, I calculated all this stuff, and out comes and says, you need to produce 2, 6, 3, 8, 2 B of B. Hey, by the way, purchasing. In order for us to complete this, you need to go ahead and buy 6, 10, 30, 12, 0, and 4 of C. Okay? And then, in the back end, this becomes my production schedule. This becomes the input for purchasing or procurement. That is my system. As simple. I made something very complex, very simple. Now, my question to you is, you are assigned to design what? This MRP system. It has a lot of problems. And I can tell you, whether you are Rubbermaid, whether you're Y12, whether you're RNL, whether you're UT, it makes no difference. This system typically creates a lot of problems. When I consulted a lot, I could go in and say, my God, by looking at this, I know that your MRP system is messed up. Not that I knew anything. I knew that every company has a problem, and that's a key problem to the company. Because what is this? Watch this, schedule. How many of your productions do you think the schedule is messed up? Everybody say yes. How many of you realize that sometimes your procurement of your material is messed up? Why do you think it's messed up? Watch this. What is a forecast? I forecast that tonight it's going to rain. My God, I don't know a thing. I'm forecasting. This is uncertain. This is uncertain. This is uncertain. Everything that goes into this system is uncertain, and out we take something that and assume is going to be perfect, when everything is uncertain and you have an output that is messed up because it's not based on reality, I have a problem. Therefore, you can go into a company and says, well, Jimmy, and you go, I think your scheduling is all messed up. I don't know a thing. I just make things up. And I'm 99.9% correct that is true. And they think, oh, you're a genius. Now, is everybody okay with this thing? This is just for your practice, to practice your template. You see that? That's all it is. I want you to tell me, how are you going to define the document that you just developed on the when you talk about requirements? Tell me about the requirements and how you're going to develop them.
According to you, we blame everybody.
But see, this is a problem. I, on the other hand, don't let the problem drive me. I drive the problem. There's the difference. I ask the question, not saying, ooh, what the hell is this? I ask the question, what was my first thing? What are my business requirements? I ask the question, what are my user requirements? And I ask the question, what are my system requirements functional and systems required non-functional? I'm going to take one of those areas and kind of talk through this so that you can practice. Let's take users. User requirements. What do you say? He drew some picture up. He said, the people that are coming in from this, they put a picture up and this functional, and they said everything that is connected to these functional must be users. Right? Identify the users here, please. Who are the users?
Production, procurement.
Watch this. Who does forecasting of the product? Typically salespeople or somebody in production scheduling. I don't know who. Who develops a strategy? Management of that production environment. Who determines the level of capabilities and capacities that you would have? Because it's not only product A. I'm producing A's and B's and 20s and C's and F's and all that kind of stuff. How am I going to do it? Who is the user here? When it comes down here and says, let's decompose and develop the production for what's scheduled for B and C, who do you need to have involved?
Production manager and procurement manager, or buyers and
Tell me. Who? How do I make A? How do I make B? How do I make C? B is my process. I have a bottleneck in B, I have pre-process in B, and a post-process in B. I have a process in C that tells me how I purchase products, and I have a bottleneck, I have a pre-bottleneck, and I have a post-bottleneck. Isn't that what you know? In B, where is my reliability issues? Equipment. In C, what are my reliability issues? Schedules or information. Have you not started identifying who your users are based on the way you think? What are my system requirements, please?
Your system requirements at each step would be the output from the other one, right?
Very good. How many systems must I review? Multiple systems. We can look at it from, it's not a single system that you're going to review. How many systems are there? See, this is not buying groceries, which is, oh, well, I'm going to get in the car and go buy groceries. This has multiple systems, and you have to analyze each of those systems and the requirements of each of those systems. Each one of them has a bottleneck. Each of them has a complement. Now, I don't have one, but I have what? A huge thing. And then you say, so what? What the hell am I going to do with this? But then you say, but what we have is AHP. I don't have to understand AHP, but if I said, which is more important, I just went through the logic. What's more important, what's more important, what's more important, you can help prioritize your requirements to be able to be successful. Based on what? Business requirements. What do you think are the business requirements here?
Time delivery.
Huh?
Organizational goals or delivery.
On-time delivery.
I can tell you that a significant amount of money is wasted in every organization because of the inefficiency of that system. There is your business goal. You notice, when I first started putting it up, you said, what am I going to do with this? As I said, threw words at you. All I did was throw words at you, didn't I? I said, okay, who are the users? What are the user requirements? I said, what is the system? How many systems do we have? What are the requirements? I said, what are the business requirements? You notice your thinking became clearer and it becomes systematic in how you looked at it rather than what am I going to do with all of this? Why should you know how to do this? Well, more philosophically, why do you think you should know how to do this?
It's consistent. Every organization or system is comprised of the same foundational.
Rocky, because nobody else thinks like you just did. And I don't know if it is really, really good or really, really bad, right? But you are going to be a different thinker, and you're going to have a template that says to your boss, you give me the project, let me tell you how I'm going to analyze it. And it shows the complexity of what you're going to do. It shows the level of detail of what you understand about that system, and hopefully increases the probability of you being successful. Short term, why should you know this?
For the finance.
I don't know. I determine something next week, and I give it to you. Why do you think I'm spending some little bit of time on getting you ready for this?
Because you want us to be successful.
No. I want to see how many people I can fail. Right? Something along those lines is what you should anticipate to see on your exam.
Is that reliability requirements?
It could be other ones.
What exam?
It's on requirements. Requirements plan. That's because that's what we're talking about. I think. So I've given you a hint of what you should anticipate. And I'm not looking at the nth level of, my God, every equation that you have is correct and you thought. I want to know how you thought through the process and how you structured it. Would that be a fair example? Given that I've told you that that's an example. Why do you think I don't care? Because it depends upon the system I put up there. It's going to make it very difficult for you to get it done in 1 hour and what? I don't know, around 1 hour. You don't have much time to think. You either know it and you structure it. Or if you're lost and you say, well, I don't know what systems is, I don't know what this requirement is, you have to be able to do that. Are we okay? See, until about 5 minutes ago, everybody was okay. There was a lot of smiles. As soon as we talked about the exam, you're going to be fine.
So do we have 2 exams next week?
One.
How many classes do you have?
One.
Really one.
It's okay. I can give you one exam. I can put the problems and divide it, whatever you want. See, I'm being fake. It's like I care. You're gonna have questions on reliability, and you're gonna have questions on requirements. If you want it on one exam, I'll make one problem, and you answer it. As I said, this problem was more requirements, this was more reliability, and that's what you're gonna do. Are we okay? No? Go have lunch.